Alright. For no reason other than my own. And potentially if anyone wants to see it. Alright. There's no doubt that in the past month, weeks even, that this I would like to call the hide and seek comp because of the nature playstyle has become quite popular uh, in the West, and it's played in Japan by some people because they have roller guys, but in West it has done very well the last two times it was played. First time by Metro after the Squeezer nerf, which made Atomic switch off Squeezer, and then by Blue Light like yesterday or 2 days ago. If you're watching, same day. This is thriving right now because one, familiarity. Two, it's probably just good anyway. And I think the main thing making this thrive is the lack of people wanting to switch to other shit. Alright. This is the comp. These fucking okay, four. You can pick based on this either or. You could also put. I'm not gonna put Squeezer here, but Squeezer also like anything. My definition of this, or like what I think is enabled by this Neosplash shit, the pen Neosplash shit, is two things that one don't need help because Neosplash doesn't help well. It just needs to be like covered for so it can do its job, and its job is just painting and shitting out strike and bombs, but mostly just shitting out strikes. So you get X amount of chances to keep pushing or having a strike to counter push or not counter push, but counter hold slash keep your guys in versus enemy shit. Um, yeah, so I think it's two. The frontline guns in front of it need to one not need help, and two play if they play off of the strikes and just the full paint very well. It's great. So anything that just insta one shots or kills extremely fast, uh, yeah, just it's defined by it doesn't need help in front. That's why I don't think range is good with it. That's why I'm not putting that there, even though it checks all the other boxes. So roller, carbon, both fast, both love paint. This shit was played before Neosplash was even considered good in general from everything or with everything, which I don't think it's good with everything. Um, that was a core anyway, like Neosplash and the rollers, because it's just pretty obvious and they just love paint. Um, and I guess not new, but recently picked 52. I'll say both of them. I think both have their merit. They do slightly different things, so I'll get into that, I guess. Um, yeah, so these two frontline pairings in the front, I you could also say Squeezer. I'm gonna not for the sake of not talking about it right now, but maybe we can talk about it another time. Um, this two frontline pairing, what is this good at? Obviously, it doesn't have range. There's a distinct lack of range and a distinct lack of bombage here. But there's an extreme amount of paint here. By getting rid of the midlines, which is like what? Well, there's bucket, midlines being like bucket, stamper, range, and what squeezer. There's I'm probably missing something maybe, but it's if it didn't stick out to me, it's probably not that good. I guess 96, but we're gonna not talk about 96. I don't care. Those four things. If you get rid of these, what do you lose? Okay, these three have bombs. You can put CRB as well. Same shit. These three have bombs. They all have a lot of range. They all deal, or these three do a lot of damage. Well, they're all lacking except for Bucket to an extent, but it is lacking compared to Gal. They all lack paint. They all lack paint, but they're very good at just parrying and fighting because if you get hit by any of these, you get one shot. Squeezer's kind of off in its own realm a little bit, but it still is, it suffers from the paint, the lacking of paint. If you get one shot by any of these, you fucking die to anything else, right? They're very good at fighting or taking team fights because of that reason in the mid game. So what does this comp do well against these things? It avoids team fights entirely. You don't team fight at all. You wait. And the waiting is very easy to just wait because these two things are just shitting out paint, and this can also shit out paint and doesn't mind waiting itself either. And this weapon, it's only waiting. It waits and then it drops on you for fucking up. Right? So, how do you stop this thing from doing what it likes? My suggestion. It's one, or you can go about it two ways right now in my head. You go about it two ways. My first suggestion: censor. Because, again, the way that this comp fights is defined by strikes coming out, whale coming out, this thing going with its whale and the strikes, and this thing going as well at the same time and trying to get a kill. The comp, if you're not walking into it and you don't fuck up, it doesn't really do much in terms of going out of its way to do shit. Right? So if it's not going out of its way to do shit, and it's only going when you either make a mistake or they're shooting a fuck ton of special at you and they're running at you, you get kind of disoriented in that emotion. I guess it thrives off of people not knowing where they are. You get disoriented. People kill you by accident, or not by accident, but like you get dropped on. You accidentally don't check something, and then things starts to go wrong. And it takes forever to clear this comp like out of your side and disadvantage because this weapon is fucking amazing at holding without like you like specialing it and shit because it just recycles its wall repeatedly and it paints so well for itself. And this is just hard to find because if you haphazardly try to clear it, you just die. Right? So censor fucks up rollers hard as shit, regardless if they're wearing Ninja Squid or not. Regardless, for sure, because it's so short range, right? So the benefit of this is because these are all mid-range things, they rely a lot on the element of either surprise or you just being overwhelmed, as I said, by the specials. Surprise or getting overwhelmed. Censor is definitely doing great to stop both of those things, right? You're not going to get surprised because you fucking know where they are. Obviously, that's the obvious point. You're not going to get surprised because you know where they are. And you won't get, I don't think, I need to see, well, I know from some experience, you won't get overwhelmed as easily because, especially if you're fighting screen, that definitely adds to the fucking disorienting effect of there are strikes and screen out at the same time. Two of these weapons insta-kill me, and I don't know where the fuck they are. If you censor the screen, or censor the strike, or fucking both, because it censors cheap, you know, guaranteed for this small amount of time, no one can push through either of these lanes. Right? So I think that's great. But then what do you play? Okay. What do you use? If you're going to play censor, what are your options? All right, realistically, like there's custom blaster. And okay. I hate that I mentioned this guy, but I'm going to mention everything because I don't like to be close-minded about it. All right, realistically, I think there's custom blaster. There's Neo Machine. Oops. Yeah. It's Custom Blaster. There's Neo Machine. There's Nautilus. There are other sensor weapons, but I think they're all ass and or don't work. Like there's Custom Expo, but like no, bro. I said I don't want to be closed minded, but I think that weapon's bad. So I'm gonna mention these. All right. Benefits of each. This I think is great if you're fighting roller. Okay, the rollers. One, it has sensor. It's very good at using sensor. These two weapons are best at throwing their sensors because they don't have to charge. So this is really great at using its sensor. It could fucking spam it, and it's fine. It's ink efficient enough to spam its sensor and then shoot its guy. Um, Blaster is notoriously good against small shooters. It has similar range values. If they get hit by once, they'll probably die to the second shot. They can't really trade you in those situations, like barring map control differences and shit. It's good against short range shit. There's no long range things in this comp, so you're not really gonna get just like held out at specific range. Oversimplifications here for sure, but so Splashdown is good against short range shit because a lot of times if you space it properly, they just can't fucking kill you, and it stalls out of it. And that's all you need to do versus this comp sometimes, I believe. It's just stall out the initial. There's 4 specials dropping on me at once, and then the game becomes much easier because now these two things have to paint for themselves and then also try to go in instead of just pushing off the commotion of strike, bubble, whale, or strike, screen, Zuka, or whatever the fuck at the same time. And obviously, they still can because they're still good weapons, but it becomes much easier when they have to fight you on your own normal terms without specials and shit when you're playing guns that specialize in fighting in their own normal terms without specials, like just the gun. Alright? I think Sensor does a great job of that. You can splash down the bubble. It insta breaks the bubble. You can mark the roller, you can insta break the bubble, you can shoot the guy, you can clear them from underneath you. Probably not. Definitely can't clear them from underneath you as well as like bucket or range or even machine for that matter because you have less range and you're more likely to just die because this thing can vertical you while you're clearing it. I'm pretty sure. I don't really know about carbon. Probably similar things, but again, you have sensor to mark them before you do that. Um, and then blaster into 52 with the wall. It's definitely challenging for sure. Into the normal one or to the deco, probably not that challenging, honestly. To be honest, it's probably not that challenging. They probably like pop splash down as they're screening or some shit as well if you don't want to save it for Bobo or if you're fighting Gal Deco Carbon. Machine. Machine is kind of slow. That's like its weak point is it's pretty slow. And but this comp is also slow until it's exploding with specials. It also does a great job of censoring. I don't the Zuka in this versus these things is not so beneficial, I believe. But these two things make it really fucking obvious where they are in this comp. Because they are always shooting, especially this. So maybe, theoretically, maybe it's easy to get a Zuka kill on one of these two weapons. I know when I played it versus this comp like 2 days ago, it was kinda easy to get a Zuka kill on the pen. Killing the front lines with Zuka is pretty fucking hard because they're hiding a lot. But killing the pen was fairly simple. So I don't think Zuka's like that amazing into this stuff, especially if they have bubble, because Zuka bubble is, it's just bad. It just doesn't go through it at all. So maybe if you're fighting a roller, it's not that great, to be honest. But versus everything else, it's definitely good because you're not really getting ran at per se and outsped. Like these guns have more range than machine, and they also will fight you a lot. You don't really like that sometimes. But versus this shit, I think it's totally fun. Um, And even though Gal has wall, Machine does a better job of fighting the wall, even without a bump, than like Blaster does for sure. Because just the way that your hitbox works, shooting the side, shooting over the wall, you can definitely clear shit underneath you if you're losing. And if you're winning, you can just censor, and then you can just take oh my god, the weapons went away. That's so fucking tragic. Take this map for example. People are sitting on this wall. You can just shoot over. You can just shoot over the wall and check shit. Like your gun is very good at clearing areas without risking your life at all. Maybe you don't kill them. Like maybe Bucket can shoot this and probably just fucking kill them. You Machine can as well, but you need a direct and it's also slower because the gun just shoots slower. But you 1000% probably just know that no one's here because you can just censor this, or you can censor here, whatever, or you can censor here, whatever, and just shoot the other shit. You are doing very well at just clearing stuff. Alright, let me put the weapons back on the screen. You, why are they out? Okay. And then there's Nautilus. Nautilus. I really hate that I mess up the thing and I have to call this stuff back. I feel like I was going on a good ramble session. Now I have to pause. It's fine then. Alright, cool. And there's Nautilus. And Nautilus does two things very, very well versus this comp. Two things very, very well. Or three things, actually. I guess. Alright, number one, Nautilus. Or I'll start with the bad part. Nautilus is kind of ass at censoring. Because even though it's very inconsistent, quite inconsistent, for no fucking reason at all, Nautilus has a charge. So if you're censoring, you can't shoot people. Like that's just like that. Like you just can't do it at the same. Like I can throw a sensor and shoot as Machine. I can't throw a sensor as Nautilus and then proceed to shoot my gun right after. I have to charge, albeit not for that long, but you still have to charge, right? But on the bright side, Nautilus shits on all of these guns in terms of range, except for Pen. But nothing shits on Pen in terms of range. So we'll just ignore that. Nautilus has a extremely great matchup into this, barring it doesn't have its wall up, but if you do, you just stand away from it. Obviously shits on Geosplash. And Roller. I forgot Carbon. Not that one. And Roller. It just shreds anything that's shorter range than that. And its entire comp is shorter range than that. I guess you could also say in the bad sides is if you're fighting Carbon and Pen, Pen is annoying as shit for not. I've heard a lot of not players complain about that specific thing, but like, okay, Pen's annoying for every weapon on the field. Just get the fuck over it, I guess, because you're not like the main backline spot, like so you don't have to like stand in the open all the time. So one, just get the fuck over it, I guess. And two, burst bombs are kind of aids for it as well. But if the Carbon's throwing a shit ton of bursts at you, then the Carbon's exposing himself, and it's definitely making it easier, especially if he's doing this when he's losing to just keep you away. Is I know where the Carbon is because the Carbon's trying to burst me, so I don't shoot his teammates. So I have information now. That's all I want. I want information. And Nautilus, unlike these two guns, and then the big part of this comp, as I said earlier, is it paints a fuck ton. Unlike these two guns, Nautilus actually paints very fucking well for how fast it kills. It does both. So Nautilus paints very well. It kills extremely fucking fast. It can mark them. And then there's Cloud. Yeah, I don't really know. Obviously, Cloud's not like bad, but it's not like amazing. It exists. It's an ink tank refill. You can sensor Cloud. Like you can hold for them pushing. Like you can say you're like holding here. They're using shit on zone. You can Cloud the drop, sensor left, sensor right, and then play. Unless someone's flanking, obviously you do something different. You can throw sensor, Cloud, and just play the punish because they have to push you. Because if they don't really gain much. They're short range shit. They gotta get close. And I think it does a better job not getting overwhelmed because as long as you throw your shit out beforehand, like your sensors and your Cloud, because you can't sensor reactively, as I said, as well, because you need to charge. So as long as you get your stuff out, and then you should be able to hold extremely well because no one can really contest your range. No one can reach you. So I think Nautilus is probably the best thing here to go with. But then that begs the question, or even if it's not Nautilus, that begs the question, what else do you run? So another way I thought about it, outside of sensor, which I guess I'll just bring up now, is dropping the pencil, because even though it's barking as shit, it does not do much in terms of clearing stuff. And you do have to worry about your pencil getting sharked out, potentially, versus these weapons. Because it's just not that. I mean, it's good at defending itself, but it's not like amazing, obviously. Not amazing at defending itself. In that case, if you drop pencil, what do you use? There's rapid zap and then there's edit. Or there's zap and there's edit. Because you're gonna run cooler. Unless you don't run cooler. But I don't feel like talking about that right now. I'm not knowledgeable enough on that. I think zap is fucking ass. So I'm not gonna talk about zap. Unless you play like Zap Explode. But again, I think Zap is ass. So I'm not gonna talk about Zap right now. I think you play edit, and that moves your entire. In theory, all right, if you're gonna play, this is a gross oversimplification, and I can maybe talk about it more at a different time, but not right now. If you're gonna play, if your team comp is like pen here or pen like there, your front lines together, and your support somewhere in the middle. Painting. Gross oversimplification, yes. Then there's like whatever. There's blind spots on the side. If you get around people, then your pen is fucking in danger, and then you have to come back. You have to clear all the guys for your pen, whatever, and then you get jumped on by like a roller or some shit, or jumped on by a 52 and you insta die. Bad things happen sometimes. Gross oversimplification, I know, but if you have edit, then your front lines are like here, here. Your support is like here, whatever, and then your edit is also here. So there's less blind spots. You are more likely to potentially all go down and shit. Maybe. Again, gross oversimplification. But there's less blind spots. There's more just working together and walking forward at shit at the same time. And why is that good versus this comp? Because you're probably more likely to get traded or to get traded out. If you die to like a roller jumping on you, there is a very much higher chance that your edit, that your edit maybe can fucking insta kill the guy, or the other guys can insta kill the guy because you're all together and not playing different spots on the stage. Because your pen can trade you if it has an angle to shoot at. If you're playing in a spot where your pen can shoot. Like if you're taking a fight like here, where my mouse is, or like I don't know if you can see my mouse on the screen. Taking a fight like here, like behind the wall, your pen can't cover you. If the guy's also fighting you in like a like if your pen's like okay, playing like right here, for example, your pen can't cover you because it doesn't want to be like bottom left. It doesn't want to get like shot by Zuko or like shot by pen or some shit. It doesn't want to be playing bottom for the most part. So edit's better at covering. So I think that would be good. Yeah, and it also paints. It doesn't paint more like over the course of the game, I guess, but I don't know how to describe it. It paints more like thoroughly. Like it paints more forward for sure. Like, it generally keeps the map in your color. Besides like just the zone, it can just paint other shit very quickly. Like pen just it paints, but not like that fast. It just fucking keeps the zone. It's like 5 shots the zone. If you walk into its range, it shoots you. Like it just keeps this area, and it can just fucking swing its pan its camera from left to right and paint like a great deal of the stage. Right. But again, what do you run with these things? I think these are the two best options. Oh, fuck. I think the two best options are Edit and Nautilus. But what do you run with these with any of these 4 weapons that I've mentioned? What do you play? I think you could keep it pretty standard, to be honest. I don't think you have to stray that far from things to for stuff to be good versus this comp of weapons, to be honest. But okay, so you play pen, you play Nautilus, you play pen. You can play pen, Nautilus. These two things have damage combos as well, so that's nice. That's nice to just mention, because that Naut does do 32 damage. So that's cool. And you have Cloud Cooler. You don't have any bombs yet, so you probably want to avoid picking other shit without bombs. So what do you want your other frontline thing to be? You just pick Bucket. Bucket's just safe. Bucket, I don't really like playing Bucket into this comp, but I've also never played it with anything that marks the stuff to make it easier for me. I've only played it versus it with Range Blaster, and Range Blaster also has a hard fucking time against this. So you have 2 guns that have a moderately hard time versus it. So I can't say for sure that I'll feel better if I have like a Nautilus, but I'm like 99% sure in my head that I definitely would have a spectacular time comparatively. This Bucket, all these things combo. Bucket's just fucking solid. Probably just like the best overall thing right now. Just solid. Strikes for bubble, strikes to counter strike, strikes for clearing underneath stuff with the main weapon. It clears roller and gal underneath very well. It doesn't get ledge camped as hard. It still can, but not really. Like you can just shoot back a lot of times. You can clear stuff relatively safely. And then your Alaska. You want something that's shooting bullets, I think. You want something that is shooting bullets to counteract the fact, or at least like keep it a little even in terms of just holding and painting. And also, this is just missing a fucking painting weapon, or a weapon that paints like relatively well. I think you go 1 of 3 ways. I don't like Neo Splash with this because I don't like double strikes. I get into that different time. I think you go 1 of 3 ways. I think you can pick Splash, normal edition. I think you could pick Splatter Shot, which I probably wouldn't do, to be honest, but you could, and I'll get into why. And you can pick Splatter Shot, and I think you can also play Dually, normal edition. And why? Why any of these 3 is the last? Alright, Splash, best paint update or upkeeping of any of these 3 shooters that I mentioned. And I think, in my head at least, the marking in addition with the burst bombs, because burst bombs also combo off of these 2 guns at least, would do great at keeping these things at bay. Because you're not gonna want to push into any of this shit if you're weak to burst. And you're also going to guaranteed, unless the guy is legit trolling, you are going to be taking damage from these bursts because they can fucking see you because you're market. If you're marked, shooting at people is easy, obviously. And again, this comp has specials that make the game disorienting, but they don't have specials that break crab. If you're striking the crab, you're not striking for these guys to go. Bubble is kind of tanky versus crab, but you can't walk out of it. You'll just die. So you kind of have to stay. It doesn't serve as like an anchoring point of I use this, put this in the middle ground, and now I can cross. It's more I put this here, and I kind of have to stay like behind it or at least near it because if I don't, I'll just die. Crap. Screen. I already know what that interaction is. I'm not gonna try to lie to you, but I would assume that you can hold. The problem comes when you fight this and you get whaled in your crab, and if the 52 gets a fight on your splash alone, then you just get fucked up. And now you only have one bomb in your comp on a bucket, which isn't spamming its bomb that much. So if you can't keep this thing out and it gets like in and it gets in on your guys, you might be fucked. Yeah, that is the problem with that. That's like the benefits and downsides of splash, I think. Then there's splatter shot, and splatter shot is solely here because it's just the middle of both of these things. All right, it has bomb. They can bomb the wall. They can Zuka the guys in the back, which like I said earlier, I think Zuking these guys in this comp is fairly easy because they're exposing themselves quite often because they're just spamming paint for their two sharking guys. Paints well. Definitely can keep up with the paint output of this, like just contesting. Damage numbers are good. Paint is good. Bomb is good. Zuka is good. Unless you're fighting Bubble, then it's less good. But again, you have bomb that can shred the bubble, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. It doesn't. It's not like anything spectacular, but it exists here. And if you kill the pen or you kill the Neo Splash, then the comp does become significantly weaker because they're lacking paint. And this thing has to stop from sharking and fighting or choosing what it wants to do, and probably just has to like only paint, so that makes the carbon's job harder because they can't just go in alone. It's going in off distractions with other shit. But yeah. And there's Dooley, which does a bit of both as well, but more on the aggressive side. Which I don't really know if you want to be that aggressive into this shit again because I don't know how the Dooley Gal fight is. I would assume Gal just like is very good because Gal is good versus everything. But you have Bomb, you have Crab, which I mentioned why both are good. Uh, so yeah, it struggles less versus the Gal in terms of yeah, I have wall up, I can just wall because you have bombs to throw at the wall. You have two bombs in your comp now. You've sucked in spot bomb, so you can actually bomb shit. You still have damage number combos with your bucket, not your pet, but you still have damage. And I like this. I like these three things. You could also put, say, shot does it a bit. That's why I mentioned it does a bit of everything. Because in this comp, any of these three guns can fight aggressively, which allows any of these three guns, or allows one of whatever two things are helping in front to play more supportively. Because they all paint relatively decently. Bucket obviously painting the worst of them, but they all paint relatively decently. So, if you're playing Bucket, one thing that you'll run into sometimes if you've played Bucket in a like competitive environment, sometimes you have strikes, but you're too far forward to use them when you're winning, obviously. Not when you're losing. Then you can just use them. Even when you're losing sometimes. But you're too far forward to use your strikes. So they make you stationary. But that situation does not come up that much if you can or if two guys could be in front of you while you're striking. If you're Nautilus in your dually or frontlining, or you're Nautilus in your splat or splatter shot, your splash probably is not doing that, to be honest. Its kill time is way worse. And doesn't do as well on the front line as these two things, and not even that splatter shot. Then you also have the crab on the front line. This thing is relatively fine without crab because it's roll around. Um, Yeah, so these, if any of these things are frontlining, you can chill and just play supportively off of one, the damage that they do, because again, you combo off of all of this stuff. So you don't have to lead the push. You can just 70 people after they take damage. Right? And then you're also not getting caught out because you're the least mobile of these things as well. So you don't have to worry about getting caught out by them or dropped on because you do get insta killed faster by both of these things faster than you can I don't want to say faster than you can react, but yeah, faster than you can react, I guess, if you go in haphazardly. And you can just trade them out. Or you can just combo off for that damage, right? You can strike the bubble, you can counter strike the Neo Splash because you have guys in front of you and you're not giving up frontline pressure by going back to strike because you have other things in front doing the fighting, right? That's I think that one of these three or one of these two things would be best, to be honest, because of that reasoning. And again, it depends on what needs to be done at the moment. Because say like your dually has crab and they're about to go in, or these guys are about to go in and use their shit. Your dually can just crab, and then you guys can play in front. Or if your Nautilus doesn't want to go, or like doesn't like feel like it's getting held by like pen or something, you could be camping ledge. This guy can be like near you fighting or helping the fire and painting and shit or whatever. And this can be back throwing its sensors to make sure you guys don't get dropped on, or make sure you don't get surprised and throw its cloud, and you can find the cloud whatever Booger wants, so it's off cloud. It's just great. I think I would probably play something like this. I would look to play something like this. If you're fighting if you're not fighting bubble or wall, which that would mean you're fighting Gal Deco and Carbon, because Carbon gets Zuka, but it doesn't get a lot, so I don't think you have to be like so worried about getting Zuka in your crab. Then I think Splash is better, or a bit better, because I think it's just easy to get guaranteed free damage on people with burst bombs versus this. But if you're fighting wall bubble, because Splash also, I don't say it gets bullied by Roller, but like it definitely has a harder time fighting Roller than fighting Carbon, just because of the range and the bubble. Then I'd probably stray away from Splash, to be honest. Uh, Same things kind of apply to like the edit, which okay, we're subbing out a pen for edit. We're gonna play this. I think it's probably easier to play Neo Splash with edit because again, this is fairly slow at frontlining. Fairly slow at being in the frontal side, but this thing is painting in your entire formation is further up, so I think it's easier to deal with. Uh, and then you play Dooley. I don't even know what you play actually. I don't even know if you can run your machine here. I mean, you can obviously, but I don't know. I haven't thought about the other idea as much because I don't know if you can play double splat lane. Like I just don't know if that's an option. Like you could take other frontline stuff. Like you could take like Stamper and put it pair it with it, and then you have more guys on front. Like I would probably do something like that instead. Like you probably can just drop the sensor idea entirely. I don't think you necessarily need the sensors when you have edit. I think. Well, I don't think you. Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need the sensors. In my idea, when you have edit, I think you could just be together in front more often than have good comms, and you're probably fine. Still, either of these things, I don't really know about this. I probably would stray away from running double spotling, but okay, sure, maybe it works. I don't know. It's, yeah, I just don't know. I just don't have information, so I can't say. Um, Decaf is probably fine into this shit as well. I don't know how Decaf fares against. I know it does fairly well versus 52. I'm not fairly against Roller because I just don't know how that interaction goes. But yeah, I really explained the other stuff as much, but again, I'm less confident in this than I am about talking about Pen. But I do think this is very good as well. I just need to play it, I think, and then I could probably say more. So yeah, that's my 40-minute ramble about this comp that's been getting played because I lost to it once and I almost lost to it twice. So now I need to think about it more. And I don't think it's that hard to like it's like so difficult, like mind numbing to figure out a strategy against. But thought about it. I think that I'm onto something. I'm pretty sure I am because whenever I fought it with censor shit, it is much easier, and I'm 90% sure in my head if I fought it with edit, even though they have pen. Okay, pen is the only thing that can fight the edit. I guess I'm talking about it now. Pen is the only thing that is giving the edit trouble. Outside of that, it can exist. So usually, what edit struggles with is squeezer and range and stamper all fucking destroy it. Like they are mid lines and they're fighting your quote unquote back line from their range, and it's not hard to do. And rapid as well. And then pen is different because it just holds it because it's a charter, but it's holding everything because it's a charter. But if you get past that point where it's like holding your entire team shooting and the game becomes like harder for the pen, then nothing's really stopping the edit from just like crossfiring and shooting at everyone because none of their weapons contest it. It's the same as like it's same as Nautilus in that respect. Of once it gets past dealing with the pen, it's just fine at just shooting everyone else. So yeah, and then like yes, after this thing is coolered, it can do more aggressive stuff, obviously than pen because it is a splatling. So like even if it's not the guy chilling, sometimes so like you want to like fight some here like bottom left or something, you have like a crab from top from like Dooley and like your guys underneath, and then like you guys are fighting together. I think that's fine. I think it's a fine thing to do because then everyone's more forward, obviously like barring no flanks or something. Uh, Everyone's more forward. There's less blind spots. So, like there's more shooting and trading in front, so you're not getting like overwhelmed by like whale strike or whatever. Because you could just fight. You can just fight back against it. Because Pen does not do the greatest job at fighting specials. It has to fuck off. Edit for sure does not have to go back as much or respect the specials as much. It can kind of just shoot back. Also spreads bubble way better than Pen could ever do because it is a splat lane. And your entire comp spreads bubble very well with these things. So that's my two ways of thinking about dealing with it. There's the censor shit with the pen that I was talking about, and then there's just the idea of being more together and forward in general. So yeah, if you somehow, some way decided to watch this entire 42-minute ramble session, uh, I hope you learned something from it. I just felt like talking about it. I get my ideas out of my head and visualized, or yeah, visualized, I guess. So thanks for listening. If you do, yeah, and let me know. I guess if you want me to do more ramble shit like this, obviously, probably more structured, because I just did this on a whim. But if people like it, then fuck it, maybe.